Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the TNT Smoke Factory. I'm your host, TJ Tilford, alongside my dad, Terrence Tilford, and we're here to bring you a unique look at college football, both inside and outside the lines. We've been gone a few weeks on vacation. While we were on vacation, we got the unique opportunity to visit the U.
Absolutely. First of all, beautiful campus. Absolutely beautiful. There's only one thing missing from that campus:
And that's the stadium.
a stadium. Absolutely. But anytime you're talking about Miami Hurricane football, you're talking about history. You are talking about one of the most storied programs in college football. Now, they haven't been that lately, but in the past, if you were talking about trying to win a national championship, you were going to find yourself having to deal with the University of Miami one way or another. Now, again, it hasn't been that way probably since like 2002. That last game they had out there against the Ohio State University Buckeyes, when they had took that L on what some might say was a controversial play, but pass interference nonetheless. But since that time, we haven't seen much of Miami. You saw some glimpses here and there, but never reaching that level that they had before. Even 2017, we saw some changes go on in Miami. Looked like they got more focused on the defensive side of the ball. That's when the attitude changed, and they brought in the whole turnover chain. That year they really made some noise, but there were two big letdowns in that year. They went into the end of that year being ranked number 2 in the nation, but they met up against a Pittsburgh team that in some strange way, came across a victory against Miami while they were sitting at number 2. They only fell to number 7. So who knows if they won the ACC championship, maybe they could still get into the playoffs that year. But they came up against a Clemson team that was primed and ready to take them out. So the first game, Pittsburgh, no business losing that one. The second game against Clemson, we can understand a loss, but they shouldn't have got throttled the way that they did in that game. You move further, now you're talking about in 2023. Well, they get a new coach in 2022 season. And then in 2023, just when you think, oh, Miami might be back, they start off 4-0. What happens? Due to 100% coaching, they lose a game that they had no business losing to the Georgia Tech to a Georgia Tech team that came into Miami and beat Miami on their own field, a game that Miami had in the bag, and they just let it go. It just disappointment all around when you look at what they've done recently. They are not living up to the Miami Hurricane legacy that was forged in the past.
And to piggyback off of what you just said, all three of those examples were letdowns. 2002. Absolutely. You're a huge favorite against Ohio State. Regardless of the
three touchdown.
Regardless of the controversial call, you should have won that game. Yeah. You were the better team.
3 touchdown favorite.
2017 turnover chain. I understand the whole losing to Clemson thing. Clemson was one of the best teams in the nation that year. But the Pittsburgh loss, that's unacceptable. You're looking ahead to the ACC championship, and you lay an egg the week before.
Yep,
final week of the season.
Yeah.
2023 Georgia Tech, a game you had no business losing, like you said, 100% due to coaching.
You had the game in the bag.
So all three of those examples are letdowns, and I think that could come up this season due to the Miami history.
Yeah.
But let's look at some things that they've done this offseason. They went to work in the portal, went out and got Cam Ward, a phenomenal quarterback, in my opinion, from Washington State. Damian Martinez, another good running back out of Oregon State. So they're starting to pick out players from the dying Pac-12 conference. And then you go out and get Tyler Barron, a transfer edge that is going to make a great duo between him and Ruben Bain on that defensive line.
Agreed. Now, a lot of focus is going on in Miami about what's going to happen on the offensive end. I got to tell you, I'm not as excited about what they're going to do offensively. I think Cam Ward is he coming in with a lot of hype, but I'm not really sure if I agree with the hype that he has. He had a tendency at Washington State to try to do a little bit too much. And I'm wondering, with the glimpse and the flashes that goes on in Miami, the city itself, if he'll come down to Miami with that same attitude and again try to do a bit too much. I think if he had taken some notes from Cam Newton and been a game manager in some of those games in Washington, then those losses could have been some wins. And then beyond that, I think the defense is where we really need to focus. Just like you said, we got these bookends in Tyler Barron and Ruben Bain Jr. They're going to create a lot of noise on that defensive front, but it's also about Francisco Mauigoa. We're talking about a linebacker that comes in off of a great season last year. And I think he's going to really raise the level of that defense again this year. And I think the defense will be actually what leads that team throughout the season.
And instead of defense leading that team, I think it'll be this three-headed backfield that they have on offense. Cam Ward, a great running quarterback. You've got Mark Fletcher, who's coming back to the U. That's another good running back. And you brought in Damian Martinez, like I said, along with what should be elite offensive line. That could be one of the deadliest running backfields in the nation.
It could be, but I'll still stand on Miami's defense being the carriers of the team.
And I'll let you take this next point on how dedicated are the players to the program. We know that Miami is one of the top teams when it comes to NIL money, and that could create a few problems in terms of dedication to the actual school.
Yeah, absolutely. When I brought this point up, that's exactly what I was pointing at, the NIL. And my question is, are the kids dedicated to the program, or are they only dedicated to the money? Now that they have the money, how much are they going to put out? Now, granted, we all understand that the NCAA is just a proving ground to reach the next level. But at the same time, sometimes you got to dig in a little bit deeper in order to win some of these games that are going to be on their schedule. And I'm not really sure if the kids will have the same amount of buy-in that's going to be necessary to get some of these close victories as they would otherwise. So, that's my worry about this NIL, deal.
Now we've previewed the school and their history. Let's go ahead and get into these predictions on their schedule this year.
Let's see it.
First game of the season, they go into Gainesville to play the Florida Gators, a team that needs to have a big year, especially for their head coach, Billy Napier. His few seasons that he's had at Florida hasn't really lived up to the hype. They've got quarterback Graham Mertz leading that offense, but that defense has a lot of question marks on it, and that's why I'm taking Miami in this game.
Totally understandable. When you listen out for all the word about Florida, you're hearing a lot about Graham Mertz this and Graham Mertz that. And I'm not sure that Graham Mertz is the guy that you want to say, hey, I got to put my team on his shoulders. You're talking about an offense that took a big hit in the offseason as well with the exiting of Trevor Etienne. So I think that really hurts that offense. They will not be as dynamic or as explosive as they were last year. And as well, the defense is going to have many holes that they need to fill. So they're going to be having some problems. I look for this to be a down year for Florida. Give me Miami in that game.
Next game, FAMU, a team that can't be overlooked. They had a good season last year, 12-1, but I think talent alone will get Miami this victory.
Absolutely. You look at FAMU, they recruit heavily in the state of Florida, but who else does? University of Miami. And who's going to get the 5 stars and the 4 stars? That's going to go to Miami. So sheerly based on talent, you're going to see FAMU really get throttled in this game. So give me Miami and give me them big.
And for the same reason I use for FAMU, I'm going to use on the next 2 games, Ball State and South Florida. I think talent alone should get you those wins.
I agree. Ball State will not have the talent that Miami has. South Florida, again, recruiting in Florida, but Miami recruits Florida better. You got the better athletes. The Jimmys and the Joes are going to be the difference in both of those ball games.
Now, their next game, Virginia Tech. Now, I must say, if this game was in Virginia Tech, I would probably take Virginia Tech to win. Sandman, that crowd going crazy, a program that's building a lot of hype around them, and a program that's been known to get these upsets in the past. But this game is in South Florida, in Miami. I got Miami taking this victory.
even with the game being in South Florida, you're talking about Miami, who doesn't really bring a lot to the table when it talks about atmosphere. You don't really have that on-campus stadium, which could make a difference in some of these games. VTech is known to be a team that can come in and create some upsets. They're trying, and now the thing with VTech, I think they're trying to manufacture some of this hype around their school and around their program. Going back, the throwback uniforms and all of that. I think that's just generated hype. I don't think it's true hype, and because of that, I don't think this is going to be the VTech team that is known to come in and give people a fit on their own field. Give me Miami. I think Miami wins that one pretty close.
Next game of the season at Cal, new team to the ACC. But Cal was at the bottom of that tough Pac-12 last year, and I think they'll be at the bottom of this ACC this year. Not a very talented team, not much hype around them, nothing really flashy, nothing to see about this Cal team. I got Miami taking this victory as well.
I agree. I think the only challenge to this for Miami on this particular game is going to be that West Coast travel, having to go all the way out to Cal and play in Cal. That will be the only thing that might produce them a little bit of a struggle. But I don't think the struggle is going to be that big. I still expect Miami to be able to put up some good points in that game. Cal, there's nothing to write about when it comes to Cal as far as them being a threat. They weren't a threat last year in the Pac-12. I don't see them being a threat this year in the ACC. Go ahead, mark it. University of Miami takes that win.
Now, for what will be, in my opinion, their first big challenge of the season, their next game at Louisville. Louisville is a team that is known to be a trap game. Teams go in there and they get upset. Think about Notre Dame last year. Sam Hartman, they were on the rise after that Ohio State loss, got upset by Louisville. You look at this year, Louisville's returning some talent. They got a new quarterback, Tyler Shaw, and we can't forget this is the same Louisville team that was in the ACC championship last year. So this is still a very talented team. The game is in Louisville, and like I was saying earlier, the history behind Miami. They're known and primed for letdowns. I think this will be their first letdown of the season. I got Louisville winning this game.
Okay. Now, originally when I looked at this schedule and thought about this game, I had just based on sheer talent, I was leaning heavily toward Miami winning this game. But then when I paid more attention to the way that the schedule is set up, I think that is what hurts Miami in this game. You have to take a long traveling game before going all the way out to Cal, and then you have to take another away game going up to Louisville in the environment that they can produce. And then right after that, you have Florida State staring you in the face. I think because of the way that schedule is set up, this, yes, becomes a trap game for them. And I think based on just coaching alone, I'm not really sold that they can get it done. So I'm going to say that Louisville actually wins this game and not the University of Miami, as I had previously thought.
And like you had said, the next week after that, FSU going to Miami. FSU is a team that's looking for revenge.
Mm-hmm.
They got robbed last season, probably should have made the playoffs, ended up not getting in. This is a team that's going to be looking for revenge, like I said. And this is the first team that I think really talent-wise stacks up with Miami.
Mm-hmm.
They lost a lot on offense. Trey Benson, Keon Coleman, lost a few defensive pieces too. But I also think they have the better head coach in this game. FSU, I'm going back and forth on this one, but I think FSU will take the win here.
Yeah, actually, with this one, when I really looked at before I really looked at their schedule, I went ahead and picked Florida State to win this game because I was thinking the same thing. Florida State is looking for games on their schedule to prove a point. I think Miami becomes one of those games where Florida State gets an opportunity to go down south and prove a point against one of their rivals. I look for Florida State to come in with a little bit more of an edge. And as you said, I think due to coaching and just that X factor that they have and Miami doesn't, I think Miami takes a loss to Florida State in this one.
Now, for our predictions, that's two back-to-back losses that they have. They'll be looking to get back into the win column. Their next game, they have Duke. Now, this is a Duke team that could be a little bit sneaky. They got Manny Diaz at head coach now, coach that loves defense. He's going to bring the defense to Duke. They lost Riley Leonard in the portal, their quarterback, to Notre Dame, but they brought in Malik Murphy, transfer quarterback from Texas. He backed up Quinn Ewers, but in the games that he did get to play, I would say he shined a little bit. So this is going to be going to be a sneaky Duke team, but back-to-back losses. Miami needs to get back in the win column, and I think they will against Duke.
I will agree with your assessment of that. I do like Malik Murphy. I really think the kid brings a lot to the table, but you're going in with a defensive-minded head coach, and I think that Duke will, while they will be great on defense, or not great, but they will be very, very good on defense this year. I think their offense still might struggle a tad bit. I look for Miami to be able to put up more points than Duke will be able to, but I think it's going to be a close game. Give me Miami winning that one and bouncing back.
Now, for Miami's revenge game of the season, they go into Georgia Tech, a very ugly loss that they had last year, a game that they had no business losing. Terrible coaching job down the stretch. Georgia Tech is a team that is going to be tough for anybody that plays them. That's the type of football that they play. But after that loss last year, there's no way you come in and you lose this game to Georgia Tech, especially the way you lost. You're going to be looking for revenge. I'm looking for Miami to win this game and win this game big. 3 scores minimum.
Yeah, Georgia Tech is not going to be a factor in the ACC. I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. They won't be a factor. Miami comes in with a huge chip on their shoulder for this game, and I think they take this game straight to Georgia Tech, and they blow them out on their own field. Give me Miami big.
Second to last game of the season, Wake Forest. Not much to really talk about here. Miami should win this game big as well. Talent alone gets them this one.
Yeah, nothing to talk about. Wake Forest, come on. Miami, big.
Now, last game of the season at Syracuse. Syracuse has been a team that can also be a trap game. I'm thinking of Clemson in the past losing to them on, I think, what was a Thursday or Friday night game. This is a Syracuse team that has been trying to build their program a little bit. They brought in Kyle McCord, transfer quarterback, new head coach, but Miami, this is a game that you can't lose. This is a game that you shouldn't lose. You're going into this game with only 2 losses, in my opinion. Looking to get to the ACC championship, no way you should lose to Syracuse.
Yeah, I think with this one, this is Miami's game to keep them in the playoff hunt. Beyond just the ACC championship game, they're looking to be in the playoff hunt with this. With all that in mind, I know that Syracuse does bring a lot to the table when it comes to upsetting folks. They've had Clemson's number a couple of times when they had to go up to the Dome. But I think on this one, the big difference is going to be when we rewind the clock and talk about something we talked about earlier. You have 2 edge rushers that are going to make a huge difference in Tyler Barron and Ruben Bain Jr. Now you got with those 2 on the edge, who are they coming after? They're coming after a guy, Kyle McCord, who when at Ohio State had all those weapons around him, with the exception of a very good line. He did not have that. But what did that mean? They needed Kyle McCord to be a little bit elusive, make some people miss in the pocket, and that is something that he could not do. I think Ruben Bain Jr. and Tyler Barron are going to have a field day coming after Kyle McCord. That's going to be the difference in that game. I say Miami goes into Syracuse and wins that game convincingly.
So there you have it. Both of us have Miami finishing at 10-2, a team that should make the ACC championship and should be in position to make the college football playoff. This is a team that predictions have been all over the place. I see some people having them as a top 3 team in the nation, others having them outside the top 25. We'd love to know what you guys think about this Miami team. Leave a comment below. Like, subscribe to all our pages listed below. We're very excited to be back. We can't wait to see you guys on the next one.
Absolutely.